Hello and welcome to Reporters, the very best from our reporters and correspondents all around the world. This programme takes us to Pakistan. The country continues to face a significant threat from militant groups, most notably its own branch of the Taliban. The TTP continues its bloody insurgency to try to impose a harsh version of Islamic law. After efforts by Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif to negotiate a peace deal with the group finally unravelled, the government further stepped up its offensives against militant strongholds in North Waziristan. The development has seen the Pakistani Taliban move south, firmly taking root in the country's largest city, Karachi. It's a place already beset by violence, criminal gangs and political rivalries. And as the Taliban assault on Karachi airport last year showed, the group appears set on adding to the city's woes. But local security forces are determined to fight back. Taha Siddiqui sent this report.
Pakistan's largest city, Karachi, is at war. A war between the city's police and the Pakistani Taliban. The last 12 months have been the deadliest so far. Nearly 140 policemen have been killed. Hoping to stem the losses, the government has decided to expand the police force and announced 4,000 new vacancies. The new recruits will be trained here to take on the Taliban. The hiring process at the largest police training school in Karachi has already begun. With unemployment rates soaring high, neither the danger nor the low wages have discouraged men like Mansoor from signing up.
I'm not afraid of the Taliban. Why should I be afraid of them? Even if you work in a factory, you can die in a fire or any such accident. You can get killed on the road even when coming back home. Life isn't safe anywhere and death will come no matter what. So why not join the police? Here at least, if I get killed, I will die as a martyr.
Karachi has a police force of 26,000. One-third of which is dedicated to VIP duties. The rest serve in the city's mean streets, fighting a deadly war on terror. In June 2014, the Pakistani Taliban laid siege to Karachi airport in a battle that lasted several hours. 10 suicide bombers entered the premises and killed 28 people. They were heading for the aircraft on the runway when they were intercepted. None were caught alive. To counter such attacks, the school has incorporated new counter-terrorism training modules, especially those involving the use of explosives, the weapon of choice of the Taliban. The chief of this police school knows it's an uphill task.
They are targeting police personnel just to demoralize them so that police should not be motivated enough to take action against them. So we are making our people properly equipped, properly trained so that they should be capable, they should be confident enough to handle such situations.
Currently, the police in Karachi are engaged in a counter-terrorism operation against the Taliban, launched in September 2013. The police conducts raids by night, and tonight they have agreed to let us accompany them. Their target is a Taliban safe house. We're told to keep the camera's night vision on. A policeman in civilian clothing guides us through the dark alley into a house they have just raided. Inside, the district police chief greets us with smiles. He is happy. His men have just killed 2 suspects who they believe were Taliban commanders.
The electricity is out. We've killed 2 terrorists and we found explosives and bombs on them of a huge quantity.
One of the men killed was shot in the head. His body is lying on the floor. Another was killed while attempting to climb a wall. 2 others escaped.
Explosives. You want to see some explosives?
There are no signs in the 2-room safe house to indicate people lived here.
These are the explosives. These are grenades.
The explosives are neatly stacked on a small stone table, the only piece of furniture in this room.
How did you find this place?
We had information from the military and intelligence agencies. They tipped us off about this.
What information?
We were told people were hiding here and planning a terrorist act. They were involved in many terrorist activities before as well.
For the police, This has been a successful day, an accomplishment that the local press is invited to cover, even if it's only one side of the story. Soon, the cameras begin to roll and the police chief reveals more details about the men they've just killed.
The one who is on that side is called Mateen, and Mateen is part of Al-Qaeda and also TTP. He's an Afghan.
The officials pay little attention to detail when collecting evidence from the crime scene, a cause perhaps for suspicion. There's no forensic examination of the bodies, which are hurriedly carried away by paramedics. The police insist on leaving, and we are given no time to independently investigate the area, which is on the outskirts of Karachi. Families here often provide refuge to the Taliban. They can easily hide among the locals, with whom they usually share the same Pashtun ethnicity.
There are elements of the TTP here, but we have managed to reduce their influence. We learned that they were trying to resettle here, but thanks to the operation we carried out, they surely daren't.
As the police team leaves, some officials can barely conceal their joy. The Pakistani Taliban began settling in Karachi nearly 6 years ago after the government launched military operations in their home base in the tribal belt along the Pakistan-Afghan border. Forced out by the army offensive, they began to spread their network of terror in Karachi. The city's urban chaos made it easy for them to operate and blend in. A Pakistani Taliban commander, Ehsanullah Ehsan, agrees to talk to us via Skype about the Karachi network. He sees the Pakistani state as their #1 enemy. His organization is responsible for several attacks in Karachi.
Police, other security agencies, politicians and others are being targeted. This is a war of two different ideologies. We're on one side and all of these people are on the other. So we target them regularly and will continue to do so. We've attacked them in the past and we've taken responsibility. We don't shy away from telling the world about it.
In this recent attack on Farooq Awan's convoy, the Taliban killed 2 people, although Awan himself survived. He heads a special counter-terrorism unit in Karachi. Some of Awan's men, like Rehan, were injured. He returns to the scene of the attack to tell us what happened that fateful day.
We couldn't see anything. There was smoke and gunpowder everywhere on the road. All our men feared something like this could happen because the chief was receiving threats all the time. So we were mentally prepared for it, but we just didn't expect it would be that day.
Rehan was injured in the head, but returned to work just 10 days later. Policemen in Karachi have been told to keep a low public profile due to a rise in such targeted attacks. Rehan follows this advice and always goes home in civilian clothing. He knows his uniform will draw the wrong kind of attention. Despite these precautions, his family worries about his safety.
I think all the time of what would happen if he wasn't here anymore, but I thank Allah that my husband is still with me. And God forbid if something were to happen to him, I don't know what would become of us. But for now, by the grace of Allah, he's here with me and he's healthy.
My family doesn't object to me being in the police, but after the blast, my wife started worrying a lot. She keeps calling again and again, asking if I've reached the office or not, and worrying where I am. This started to happen after the blast day. Before that, she wasn't like this.
Rehan has been with the Karachi police force for 20 years and has seen the city evolve into a hotbed of violence. It used to be just gang wars and political rivalries, but the Taliban are changing the rules. As Pakistan's economic hub, Karachi is a source of easy funds. They now run one of the biggest extortion and kidnapping rackets in the city. Tariq and his family are victims of such extortion. His brother was asked to pay a monthly sum to the Taliban. When he refused, their medical supplies store was bombed.
This is the market. These 3 stores were ours. As you can see, there is a lot of damage. This is because of the splinters and the shrapnel from the bomb.
Fortunately for Tariq's brother, the attack was just a warning, and there were no casualties. But his family advised him to leave the country. According to Tariq, all other shops in this area regularly pay the Taliban.
Nobody will talk about it. They're pressured and they're helpless, so they have to pay. They can see what kind of security the government provided, so they're scared.
There were 2 police checkposts right in front of their shops, and still this blast occurred.
Now, Tariq can only enter his shop from the back, where the destroyed merchandise still remains. He lost nearly 90,000 euros worth of medical supplies, including vaccines and high-tech equipment. The family is a rare exception, one of the few who have refused to give in to terror. Now, they run a smaller pharmacy behind the original store, where they feel safer. For Tariq, paying the Taliban is out of the question.
There have been incidents where people paid and still faced problems. They were fired at or their shops were targeted. Once you pay, then their demands just keep increasing because they know you will pay again, and then it never stops.
Those who planted the bomb were never arrested. Tariq and other traders in the area feel abandoned, but there's not much they can do. Officially, the Karachi operation is a success. The security forces claim to have killed hundreds of Taliban. But little thought is given to human rights abuses. Often, innocent Pashtuns, whose only crime is a shared ethnicity with the Taliban, are labeled as terrorists. Like these men who are not just the victims of the Taliban, but also face persecution from the police. They bring their complaints to the ANP, a secular Pashtun party which has rallied against the Taliban.
We want to tell everyone that this operation is not against terrorism, it's against our Pashtun tribe. They're killing us and destroying our businesses.
4 or 5 police vans came, and there were lots of men dressed in civilian clothes. It was the evening of the 23rd of December. They took my brother, Hamidullah. We still don't know where he is. Neither the police nor the military is telling us anything.
The same evening, Kher invites us to his home to meet his missing brother's family.
These are Hamidullah's children. This is his son Adil. He's the second child. The oldest is inside, and there's a third here who is Adil's twin.
Kher does not know why his brother was arrested and does not hold on to any hope of his return.
When people have disappeared like this before, only their dead bodies return. I don't know if he's still alive. Our community is being targeted because we're labelled as Taliban. I have nothing to do with them. I don't think like them. I've never dealt with them.
With nowhere to turn for justice, the people of Karachi have become pawns in a larger battle between the police and the Taliban. In this bloody, violent and deadly war for the control of the city, everything is at stake and nobody is safe.
Now, for more on this report, our correspondent Taha Siddiqui joins us now. Taha, an uphill struggle for the security forces in Karachi as local Taliban continues to grow its network there.
Definitely, it is an uphill task, as you mentioned, and the biggest problem that the police face is because of the lower numbers that they are. There are only 24,000 people, police force right now in Karachi for a population of 20 million, and because of that, that is the primary issue with the policing in Karachi, and especially with the nature of conflict changing there, the nature of violence changing, and the terrorism because of these Taliban insurgents which have come from the north to down south. Because of that, they are not prepared to deal with terrorism also. So that is so training and the low numbers are a big issue for the police in Karachi.
So the police fighting back, but often civilians can be wrongly targeted instead. Tell us more about the ethnic Pashtuns who are often mistaken for members of the Taliban.
Yeah, that happens a lot. During our reporting and during our investigations, we received a number of complaints from different areas where these operations of the police operations take place, from the local community saying that just because they belong to the Pashtun ethnicity, which is shared by the Taliban also, they are being targeted. And there is a lot of human rights abuse. There are people who are still missing, as we saw in the report. There are also, at the same time, people who are picked up and then their bodies are just dumped and nobody really knows who's doing it. There's no accountability or transparency. At the same time, the judiciary has tried to investigate these missing persons, but at the end of the day, the police is also has not responded really well to the judicial inquiries that we've seen, and nothing has come out of it, and these human rights abuses continue to happen in Karachi.
And briefly, Taha, this attack on the airport last year, what steps is the city taking to prevent any repeat of this?
Well, there are a few things that the city has done, or Karachi has done. Number one, they've started registering everyone, which is actually a huge task in the city. They've started registering all houses, which was not done before. So it's sort of a census that they're doing, the population census, and at the same time, tenant agreements between people who are living, especially in those problematic areas, that have to be submitted to the police from now on, and that's the new law that they've said, which was introduced recently enough. Secondly, they've also called in paramilitary forces, which is the Rangers, to assist the police up until the police can improve or enhance their capacity. So these are two measures that we're seeing currently that the police has done in a way to counter this militancy threat. But at the same time, because of the fact that the city is so huge, it does still look like it will be quite a challenge to actually secure the city.
Taha Siddiqui, thank you very much for that. And that's it for this edition of Reporters. More news coming up. Stay with us here on France 24.